As y'all know, biggest menace in society when it comes to the social media stuff has to be Charlamagne Tha God. On the Breakfast Club, he said some crazy out-of-pocket things. We're gonna pretty much go down his biography, I guess, on how he's the biggest menace in society. I don't know, but join the Discord.
Charlamagne Tha God is currently among the most prominent figures in the world of hip-hop. His outspoken opinions and unfiltered takes have allowed him to stand out in media for well over a decade, even with today's climate of sensationalized internet personalities.
I sniffed your chair last time.
Yeah, see, this is exactly what I was talking about. Who is this? This is not Jennifer Lopez, right? Who is this? This is not Jennifer Lopez, right?
You're a sick person.
I know.
Bro, he at least he admitted it. At least he admitted he's sick. He needs help, though.
While most interviewers do their best to make strategic statements and ask polite, softball questions to the celebrities they're interviewing, Charlamagne has no problem making bold claims and
he does not care at all. Charlamagne does not care at all. He almost got the cameraman beat up because he was zooming on what's his name, Tory Lanez hairline. Do y'all remember that? The puppet. He was roasting Tory Lanez.
Appropriate questions that shock listeners as well as the guests he interviews.
Are you a registered sex offender?
Nah, I'm not.
Were you convicted of something?
Nah, I'm not.
With such a polarizing personality, it should come as no surprise that he's had a career filled with controversies, and is the kind of person that fans absolutely love or critics absolutely hate. This is how Charlamagne grew to be one of the most well-known voices in radio and the biggest menace in hip-hop.
The biggest menace in hip-hop, not society, hip-hop. Nah, he might be.
Once you understand Charlamagne's background, it makes it much easier to understand why he is the way he is today.
Yeah, he's crazy.
Before becoming known,
he's crazy. I don't know how he came up, what's his come up, how he got on the Breakfast Club. I'm interested in that.
As an outspoken hip-hop personality, Charlamagne was born Leonard Larry McKelvey and grew up in Monk's. As an outspoken hip-hop personality, Charlamagne was born Leonard Larry McKelvey.
Larry, yeah. If I had the middle name of Larry, then I'd go crazy too.
And grew up in Monk's Corner, South Carolina, a small town just outside of Charleston. His mother was a school teacher and practicing Jehovah's Witness, and his father was the complete opposite, a street hustler with a drinking and drug problem. Growing up on a dirt road in a rural town, there wasn't very much to do. Leonard found himself spending most of his time playing in the woods or cornfields, or consumed in books that he was reading.
Yeah, my mother was an English teacher and she was a Jehovah's Witness, so she would always, put books in my face. So I would just run through like Mad Judy Blume and Beverly Cleary books.
You read everything?
Oh man, and my mother would always tell me read things that don't pertain to you.
Oh, name?
His early interest in
What's his name? Leonard, I think? Yeah.
learning was crucial, because it helped foster an intelligence and curiosity that would serve him later on, especially in interviews. Surprisingly, for much of his early life, Leonard was a smart kid and was among the top students in his class. As he got older though, this personality quickly changed.
I was gonna say, how you go from reading books to being very smart class to being Charlamagne Tha God, slipping people's seats after they just got off of it. That don't make so much sense. How you go from here to down here? How you stoop down that low? I don't know.
A lot of his friends and family back then were involved in the street life, so they didn't take well to Leonard being some nerdy kid. He often got bullied by his peers and even his own cousins, simply because they saw him as someone who was weak. This harsh reality forced him to toughen up and learn how to dish out roasts, which is something he's become known for today.
And you see Big Sean has no beef.
No muscles either.
Give it up for the comedian. Give it up for the comedian.
Not only does he gladly insult others, but he has no problem getting insulted himself, because in a lot of poor communities, making fun of each other is just what you do.
Not even in poor communities. I do that to my friends. I make fun of my friends, especially if you're fat. I'm not gonna lie, if you're a friend, if you have a friend group and you're the fat person in the friend group, you're just bound to get roasted. Shoot, you can eat a salad, they'll still make fun of you because you're big. I promise you, big people have the biggest problems. They just literally, you can eat a salad as a big person, you will get made fun of just for eating. I'm telling you, big people cannot win an argument. I'm telling you, if you're big, do not argue with me, because I'm just saying you're big. And then what? You can't really say anything now. You're big. You're large. It's like, come on.
By the time Leonard got into middle
he said he downgraded.
school, he had completely changed his personality. He went from reading books and being at the top of his class to drinking in school and failing grades. Much of his time in school was spent joking around with his friends, roasting
telling you, fat people, just big people in general cannot win.
other kids, and simply causing problems for the teachers. As he entered high school, things only progressed, and he gradually got caught up in the street life, just as so many of his friends and family members had as well.
First time I ever went to jail was for assault and battery with intent to kill. I was in high school, and I got kicked out of one high school. I got kicked out of Berkeley High School, and they sent me to Stratford High School because that's where my mom used to teach.
Like many of his peers, he soon started selling drugs in order to make some extra money, and this is when he gave himself his now famous nickname, Charlamagne Tha God.
How he got that
See,
name? Like,
since his dad was a known hustler in the town and the community was relatively small, he wanted to prevent people from knowing his real name. So when he started selling drugs, he began telling customers his name was Charles. That way, it'd be harder for word to get back to his dad that he was dealing. Over time, this name developed. Apparently, he read somewhere that Charlemagne was French for Charles the Great.
okay.
He got the idea from the 5% Nation and Islamist group that
Charlamagne is too dumb to come up with that whole name analogy. Like, for me, he's too dumb. There's no way he came up with that by himself. I mean, I don't know.
everyone is a god. So he put the two of them together and got Charlamagne Tha God. It might not make sense now, but it made
Nah, yeah. I probably will. I will.
sense to him
I will.
back then, and it seems to have stuck. Now, while
I'm
Charlamagne
trying to get as many videos out. You feel me?
was growing up in the 90s, hip-hop was just starting to get its footing, and as soon as he found out about it, he instantly became obsessed. Because of this obsession, like so many other kids back then, he made the decision early on that he wanted to become a rapper, similar to the artists that he was a fan.
No, I'm sorry. He has to be trash.
After all, he was living a street life like the big names rapped about. Why couldn't he make his way in hip-hop too? With this serious goal in mind, Charlamagne was constantly making connections within his local music scene. One of these connections happened to be a friend who worked at the local radio station, Z93 Jams.
And I used to want to rap, so I was sitting in the recording studio one day, and I met a local radio.
Yeah, I do. Everything's my name. Everything is just my name, bro. Also, I have to show y'all. Remind me, I have to show. Since you're new, I have to show you my music. You gotta let me know if it's like decent or not. I got some music. I've been making some stuff on my phone.
And I just asked him, like, yo, how you getting?
He might be.
He said, I got an internship, and I said,
But I mean, mind you, he's like what? Charlamagne's like what? He's like late 30s, late 30s, early 40s. So he was like you said, he was born in like in that hip hop area of the 90s or something like that. He grew up around it, so he's probably like rapping like Tupac, Biggie, Ice Cube, people like that, NWA.
Yeah, went down there and get an internship, and he like, yeah. So I went down there, filled out the internship papers, and that's how I got my foot in the game of radio.
Not willing to let a good opportunity go to waste, he immediately did everything he could to help out as an intern. This included things like coming up with ideas for on-air personalities and even passing them notes and articles while they were recording to help them out. Soon enough, Charlamagne started getting airtime himself, sitting in on shows and filling in for other hosts on nights and weekends. Despite not having a ton of airtime,
Not gonna lie, Charlamagne would do good on Kick. He would do good on Kick, bro. He would say whatever is on his mind. I don't even got a computer to do beats. What you mean? You don't need a computer. You can use BandLab on your phone. I've seen people make some nice stuff on BandLab, bro.
this was the first instance where a large audience got introduced to his personality.
You don't really need much. You don't need much to make music.
He was loud, rude, and unapologetic, and listeners loved it.
I always say the best thing that happened to me was I didn't know how to do radio. I was fresh off the street on the microphone, and nobody taught me how to do this. So those hot takes, that's just regular conversation. Back then, I didn't know no better. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Since he had no formal training, his personality came across as authentic and relatable, and listeners appreciated that. With a little bit of airtime he was getting, he quickly started becoming a local celebrity, gaining recognition at local bars and nightclubs in Charleston. In true Charlamagne fashion though, it wouldn't take long for there to be some sort of controversy, and one of these earlier controversies still haunt him today.
Damn, what? What happened? I'm interested.
See, despite his minor success as a part-time radio host at a small local station, Charlamagne was still heavily involved in street life. He was still hanging out with a lot of dedicated street hustlers and was doing a lot of illegal activities himself. Well, while hosting a party at a nearby lake house
Where the mods? I don't know, but I mean, there's not much to mod anyway. It's just like 4 people in here. There's not much to mod, but I promise, like, you feel me? When we get more people in here, I started about an hour ago, almost an hour ago, 52 minutes ago. Yeah, you're right. Here, I'll give it to you right now, but I'll give you mod right now. Like, I mean, isn't it? Yeah, I got you, bro. I mean, you seem like you're gonna be in here the last time. Yes, you, bro. Ooh, Danger, I'm talking to you, bro. Who else? Who else is in here? I'm talking to you. Yeah, I got you.
One of his friends, A young girl was
you
allegedly
go about
taken
controlling it.
advantage
You go,
of
bro.
by a few of the
You
attendees.
go.
Although Charlamagne claims he wasn't even at the party when the event took place, the girl claims that he was one of the offenders who did it.
Oh
After
my
providing police with the
gosh,
event took place, advantage of by hosting a party at a nearby lake house for one of his friends, a young girl was allegedly taken advantage of by a few of the attendees.
That we locked in, bro.
Although Charlamagne claims he wasn't even at the party when the event took place, the girl claims that he was one of the offenders who did it. After providing
I'm not gonna lie, I have to go with the girl. Even though they be lying about that stuff sometimes, Charlamagne was sniffing people's seats as they got up. I'm not saying he did it, but I can see how the allegation got to where it is, bro. There's no way this allegations came out of the blue, bro. Charlamagne, I don't know. He's got some what,
providing police with DNA samples, Charlamagne wasn't actually charged with the crime, and instead was charged with contributing to the delinquency of a minor for hosting the party. Even so, that enough was a wake-up call. In the past, he may have gotten away with other various charges, but this was a serious situation for him, and it caused him to reevaluate the group he was hanging around. When he was just a kid living on a dirt road selling drugs, he didn't have a lot to lose. Now that he was working at a legitimate radio station, there were larger stakes on the line. Also, it was around this time that an older friend and mentor of Charlamagne gave him a bit of honest advice that would cause him to really shift his focus.
I thought I was a great rapper until I realized I wasn't, because one of my mentors, Dr. Robert Evans, told me that I sucked. That's how Ludacris popped off. He did radio and then he rapped, and I'm like, oh, that's what I'm going to do. And then Dr. Robert Evans was like, nah, bro, you suck.
Are not.
Hey, we do this.
You need to focus on radio. That's your thing. You could be great at that. So I didn't.
Bro, it's chopped. Nah, see, I'm not. Wait, let me see. Let me see some Charlamagne before like some like young Charlamagne the God. He's not chopped. He's not chopped. Let me see. He's not chopped. He's just like a regular. He's just a regular person. He's not chopped. He's got like a model face. He can be a model. He said just wanted to hate on bro. Nah, I'm known, bro. Wesley wants to hate on. He said he wants to hate on Charlamagne. Listen, bro, I don't blame you.
Get upset.
I don't know about that. But he's not chopped. I don't think he's mid. I'm gonna keep it a buck. And I'm a professional hater too, but I don't think he's like mid. I don't know.
I took the criticism because I wasn't.
He's average. He's average. Okay, he's average. We can agree on that. He's average.
A lot of times we do things for a check, or we do things because we see other people doing it. But is that really your passion? If somebody can come to you and say, you know what, I don't think this is for you, and you can just let it go, it never was your passion to begin with. So I had no problem letting that rap career go.
That's a fact.
Hearing this bitter assessment stuck with Charlamagne, because deep down, he knew it was true. And after hearing someone else say it out loud, he couldn't help but agree. This critical feedback is something that Charlamagne largely attributes to his success today, and is a major reason why he claims to be so direct when speaking to others. Simply put, he seems to think if someone is bad at something, you should tell them. They can either try to get better or try something else.
That's true.
But either way, you're providing much needed feedback. With his full focus on radio,
I mean, I'm not really worried about that. You feel me? They're gonna come.
Gained recognition.
It's gonna happen. Like it's gonna be a point where we have like 1K. I'm not gonna put a limit on myself. Whatever my limit is my limit. But you should never put a limit on yourself on anything. You just gotta, try and get better, do better.
From a larger radio station in the nearby city of Columbia, South Carolina, eventually getting his own dedicated show. It was here that he really started polishing his craft.
I didn't know how to do radio,
Yeah,
I really didn't. So I was just going in there.
I was gonna say something. I'd be having stuff to say, and it just slips my mind. It might come back.
Talking, like yelling, like literally yelling at people on the radio. I'm taking phone calls and I'm f***ing with people when they're calling in, making jokes, blah, blah, blah. So it's just like, for me, the best thing that ever happened to me was I didn't know how to do radio.
He tried out various segments, learned more about the production side of things, and started building relationships with others in the industry. Again, he was still a loudmouth radio host that would often get into arguments with callers, insult guests, and call out anyone and everyone who he felt needed calling out. But among all of this, he was genuinely becoming better as a host, all while growing meaningful relationships with significant people. He would meet up-and-coming rappers like T.I. and Jeezy, and more importantly, he would make strong connections in the radio world. Among the many people he connected with was a well-known radio and TV personality, Wendy Williams. During that time, Wendy Williams was a massive name in entertainment.
Like, if my sister told me something I would low-key forget. My brother. It depends. It depends on what they tell me.
Aside from her TV show and appearances she was making, she had one of the most popular, nationally syndicated radio shows in the country. Basically, it was played throughout the country at smaller local stations because it would attract more listeners for certain time slots than whatever local radio personalities those stations had. Well, it just so happened that one of the smaller stations it was syndicated at was the station Charlamagne was working at in Colombia, allowing them to meet on several occasions. It was through this connection that he eventually got the chance to co-host Wendy's radio show in New York City, which was definitely a major achievement for his career. Wendy's show was one of the largest in the country, and the exposure he was getting as a co-host was huge.
Yo, they need to make a video on what happened to Wendy Williams. Didn't she get sick or something like that?
Went from being heard by a few thousand people in South Carolina to being heard
the Ellen girl, didn't she get her show canceled or something like that? Like,
by millions of people throughout the United States, and it was essentially a dream job. However, as great as the opportunity was, this major success would ultimately prove to be short-lived.
Yeah, she did? Dang.
After spending some time on Wendy's radio show, he wound up having a falling out with her. And after switching to a smaller show in Philly, he soon had a falling out there as well. Before he knew it, he went from being one of the top radio hosts in the country to back home living in Moncks Corner, South Carolina. Despite all of the years of progress,
that's how fast your life can go good and how it could go just bad. Oh, a word? Ooh, oh, damn, I didn't know that. For Wendy, I just know she got like sick or something like that. And Ellen, I think she was just being toxic or something like that. I don't know.
He quickly found himself broke, unemployed, and unsure if his radio career was ever going to regain steam. And by most standards, he was at a complete low point in life.
We all went back to Moncks Corner for a year.
What was going through your head at that point?
Failure.
I like him crazy. Yeah,
gotta go back to Moncks Corner after being, on Wendy's show.
Till you find someone who's trying to cut you because they think you're cheating. Yeah,
my own show in Philly, after having these viral moments, after being on VH1 TV with Wendy, now I got to go back to Moncks Corner and collect unemployment for real, because I don't know when I'm gonna get another gig, and now I got a daughter.
He had a tough streak of getting fired or let go from most of his past radio jobs, and given the circumstances, it wasn't clear how he could get back to a solid position on air. That is, until an unexpected opportunity happened to come along. As much as he could rub others the wrong way, Charlamagne did manage to do some great networking during the years he spent in the industry. Even while he was living on unemployment in South Carolina, he would make trips to New York simply to make his presence known, and would do whatever he could to stay relevant in the industry. This hustle paid off, because when it came time to launch a new radio show called The Breakfast Club, Charlamagne landed a spot as a co-host alongside DJ Envy and Angela.
Which is like amazing. Yeah, I'm just here, bro. Which is amazing because I'm talking right now. Like normally, I don't know. I'm just talking. Like, normally if I was this tired, I wouldn't have this much to say. But I don't know.
Although he had definitely made a name for himself in the years prior, this is where he would really become known as the host he is today. He had a candid and confrontational conversation style that attracted both fans and critics alike.
You are the poster child for whack rappers. If they want to say somebody whack, they say you.
Yo, look, Lil Yachty is. Wait, this is Lil Yachty, right?
You're not the poster child for whack.
Yo, Lil Yachty is not whack. What time is it? It's 5:51.
But regardless if people loved him or hated him, all that mattered was that they were listening. His relentless pursuit of content and willingness to ask tough questions brought the program unprecedented attention. And with an uncanny ability to provoke guests into revealing their true selves, Charlamagne quickly became the face of the show. This soon led to him receiving book deals, TV show appearances, and multiple other business ventures outside of radio. However, as Charlamagne's profile grew, so did the controversies surrounding him. Charlamagne's interviews with various artists and industry figures have gone down in history for their confrontational nature. This is where many people take issue with this behavior. While it's true that some appreciated his no-holds-barred approach, others considered it disrespectful and antagonistic. By refusing to hold back and filter out any of his thoughts, he often crossed the line into personal attacks, earning him a reputation for simply being a provocateur and a shock jock rather than an interviewer, which is something that can be seen with countless guest appearances over the years.
One of my nicknames for you is the voice of the young struggle face.
See, that's wild, bro.
It's because you're young, but you have an old face.
To further the
That's
problem even
wild.
more,
He don't
many
care.
have pointed out his criticisms and stances on women specifically as misogynistic.
You want something, if you need something, if you want to say something to your friend, but you can't say because it might hurt your friendship, tell Charlamagne, pay Charlamagne $1,000. Can you say this to my friend? He's gonna say it too. Whatever you gotta say, because you don't want to say it to their face.
Like in nature.
Charlamagne's gonna say it. He'll do it for free. You don't even have to pay him. He'll do it for free because that's just his what's it called? His personality. He'll do it for free.
Plenty of listeners already weren't a big fan of his, but as clips of him insulting both male and female guests continued to go viral over the years, the number of people who disliked or outright hated him only continued to grow. This has led to a long list of rappers, personalities, and even listeners expressing their disapproval of him in one way or another.
Yeah, but I'm the radio guy. Why pull up on the radio guy? Don't act tough with the radio guy.
Oh, Birdman, I remember this, bro.
Y'all finished or y'all done?
I
I ain't got no
remember
more
this.
talking. Let's rock.
Right.
One comment sums this up well, saying, "How are you going to invite a man on your show, then you insult him?"
Nah,
No
that's
As harsh as a lot of his statements are though, it's not like he hasn't changed or developed throughout his time on air. Charlamagne's career spreads out across decades, and The Breakfast Club alone is over 10 years old. He definitely still has new clips going viral fairly often, but for anyone paying attention, he has toned down somewhat in recent years. Maybe this is from him learning from past experiences, or simply calming down as he gets older. But either way, there is a noticeable change from his early years on air. Also, it's not like his bold approach to interviewing hasn't had its benefits. His candid interview style has managed to bring out a more casual side of a lot of artists, and has also spread light on important topics. For example, some argue that Charlamagne's provocative style has pushed rap culture to evolve and address problems like mental health or social issues that have previously been swept under the rug.
I don't have a mom I can call. I don't have a father I can call.
Why you not go to a therapist?
In the streets, you weren't taught that that's okay.
Yeah, neither was I, but eventually.
But I get it. I get it.
By forcing uncomfortable conversations onto a mainstream audience, he's challenged the status quo and likely helped bring important conversations to the forefront of listeners' attention. Of course, this point can be argued either way. Many people are always going to view Charlamagne as a hypercritical radio host who perpetuates a toxic culture, and others are going to view him as more of a strong-minded comedic voice with hard-hitting questions. When you build your entire career around controversy and provocative conversations, though, that polarization just comes with the territory. Whether listeners appreciate his presence in the industry or absolutely hate it, Charlamagne himself doesn't seem to mind at all, as long as people keep listening.
Hey, bro. This was a good vid. Y'all can see why Charlamagne is probably one of the most out of pocket, if not the biggest menace in hip hop. Join the Discord, join the Discord down below. Don't be Charlamagne Tha God. Don't do that. Don't be like him.